How to install a floor pan, 1968 Dodge Charger restoration, part 2. Pan installation and finish out. Okay, hey, in part 1, this floor pan was completely removed. The area was prepped, frame rails, brackets, braces, and we'll just pick up where we left off. Okay, what I've done through those holes there that you see, where we're going to be plug welding, I have marked with a Sharpie, and we're going to remove a small amount of metal so we can get a really nice weld. And I'm just accomplishing that here with a 60 grit flap wheel. Now with that done, the other side of the pan, we're going to be installing plug weld holes with this little hand punch. And prepping the area with red Scotch-Brite. And I really hate being sloppy with primer, so we're just going to mask this area off, take a little time, and apply a little bit of weld through primer on the bare steel. And there's that. Okay, so now we can get this floor pan extension installed. We're going to lock that into place with the C-clamps. And then we're going to set it in place with some set screws. And now it is time to fit, mock up, and mark out the floor pan itself. And there it is going in. And it's in position. Okay, now with it in position, I am laying out the plug weld holes, and all of these marks will be punched out so we can get a good plug weld through these holes, join these two pieces. Okay, so now I've moved under the car, and I am tracing out with a little Sharpie the brace, and we're going to be welding to this brace, but we're going to need to drill plug weld holes into this pan. And now it's pretty evident what I was doing. Yeah, we never want to guess at where that brace is, because I'll guess wrong every time. And we're not able to use the hand punch, so we're just going with the drill bit. And now this is a countersink, and this is just gonna knock off any burrs that are on the in the holes that we've just drilled. That would keep the metal up off of the brace just enough to create a gap. We don't want that, so we've taken care of that issue. Okay, now I have already removed the anchor plates, or the seatbelt anchor plates, and this is a brake cable bracket. And before we install those, we're also going to put weld through primer on both sides. Here's a shot of the anchor plate being installed. Making sure we're in the correct position for the bolt that goes through the hole. And here I'm just scratching off a little bit of the EDP coat to get a really nice weld. Okay, that's installed. Now we're punching holes in the floor pan. And this is the final time the floor pan will be installed or set into place. All of our prep work is done. You can see the holes in the pan. We will be plug welding through all of those. And now we're just getting everything into position, clamping it into place. And we'll also be using set screws. Getting that little guy back into position. And you'll notice I was using a wooden mallet. A rubber mallet would probably be a little bit better, but we never want to hit it with a metal or steel hammer, because then you're damaging the metal, leaving a bunch of ugly marks. Yeah, it's just not a good thing to do. Good practice. And another trick that I really like to do, you can see I have really oversized washers here. Okay, that's so that when the screw is going in, it doesn't deform or distort the metal, and then you have a bunch of high and low spots. It just doesn't look good. So we want to go down nice and flush without distortion on the floor pan. You can there's a good shot of that there. Now if I just use the screw, it would dimple it, but that evenly disperses a little pressure, so that's what we're doing. And anywhere you can, I like to use a clamp instead of a screw. Okay, now you can see we've done all our prep work really well, and the telltale sign is we have a very tight gap on all of our pan to brace or bracket. And here's another shot. We don't have big gaps, anything like that. Everything looks really nice and tight. That's what we want to see. We're just about ready to proceed. Everything's nice and flush. Hey, let's do some welding, plug welding. And along with getting a really nice fit, doing your prep work correctly, getting the machine set up right with a good ground, now we can get really nice plug welds. And that's going to translate into less grinding, less finish up, cleanup work. And it's just a better, nicer finish overall. We want to always strive to do the best we can. And here's a shot of what we've accomplished so far. Really, there's a lack of distortion around the plug weld, and everything's really nice and straight. Even though we have really good looking plug welds, I'm going to go ahead, knock off the very top, then use a flap wheel over it, and then switch to a little mini DA. And you notice I'm being really accurate with the EDP coat removal. And once we switch over to the little mini DA, that's going to be very helpful. The less you disturb, the less you have to repair. And here's a little mini DA. We're prepping this area. Then we're going to be coming back over with Scotch-Brite. And getting that all knocked out. Now this is an epoxy primer, or excuse me, it's an epoxy paint. And we're just going to shoot that on there where there's bare steel. Here's a shot of the finish out of it. Everything's looking really good. We're going to get that epoxied. Okay, after that's dried, now I'm using red Scotch-Brite, just prepping the entire pan. And we're using sealant. Now is go with the 3M Fast and Firm. Always works out really well, always yields really good results. Now this is part of the old floor pan, and we're going to have to move these brackets as well as the 4-speed tunnel. Now doing it this way, I'm just laying that original transmission tunnel piece with the cutout marks where the old brackets were, laying it right into place. Now that's exactly where the new brackets are going to be installed. Okay, moving on, we've already set our transmission 4-speed tunnel hump. We know where it goes, and now we're just cutting out the access hole for it and marking out where we're going to be removing a little bit of the EDP coat. Yeah, there's really no need to just go crazy with the grinder or anything like that. I mean, this EDP coat is really good coating. I always want to keep as much protection for the metal as possible. And then you don't have to come back over it and do a lot of extra work also. And so, keeping with the theme of not being sloppy with the primer, having nice, really nice crisp starts and stops, we're just going to use a little bit of tape. And there that epoxy paint is. Really good stuff. And we'll get this tape pulled here. Let you have a look. Yeah, very little distortion in the pan. And there it is. Hey, and as always, thanks for watching.